It's time for your statewide Alabama weathercast.
Good afternoon. I'm meteorologist Drew McCombs with the Alabama Weather Network. This is your statewide forecast update, and not much happening there across the state, just like we saw this morning. Sunshine dominating here, no clouds hardly in the sky. The only thing we're really seeing here, got a few little smoke plumes starting to pop up there on the visible satellite imagery. Again, as we continue to be in this developing drought here, that's going to be more and more of a thing we're going to be watching. We've got the fire here that looks like it's kind of to the west of Sylacauga there, to the southwest of Sylacauga. And so we can actually see that, though, looking at the Alabaster Skycam here. So looking back off towards the east, looks like right there, yeah, you can start to see that's the smoke plume. Now, I think that's maybe somebody driving along with some dust, maybe going behind a car potentially out there, but I believe that's what we're picking up right there, is that little bit of a smoke plume there, and you can see it's drifting down towards the south here. So looking at the Alabama Forestry Commission website, looks like that may have been a fire that's been ongoing for a few days that they've had under control. It looks like it may have flared back up here a little bit, but just a reminder that we're still in a fire danger advisory that the Alabama Forestry Commission has issued in the last couple of weeks. It's going to continue to be something we got to watch out with, because it will be very dry continually, at least through the end of this week. Look at the temperatures, 81 degrees though, looking at Alabaster. And again, it's very beautiful outside. It feels great for sure. Just a little bit too dry out there. And looking at Gulf Shores, it's really nice. It's 78 degrees there. Again, that dry air has made it all the way to the coast. Look at the color of the water there. You got the little sandbars going on. So definitely looks like with fall break still in action here, that we've got a good bit of people out there on the beaches along the Alabama Gulf Course. Beautiful look there. And Dozier in the southern part of the state, it's 80 degrees. So we're going to be getting in the 80s. Warm afternoons, still going to be part of the deal here, with an occasional wind gust around 12 miles per hour there in Dozier. So just beautiful skies there. Again, we're having a hard time finding any cloud cover, but it actually looks like maybe they're seeing a few there trying to form near some of the mountains there near Huntsville. Got a few bugs flying around here as well, but we're looking back towards the Hampton Cove area, and it's looking pretty nice. It's 72 degrees there atop Monte Sano. All right, what we're watching for today and the rest of this week, dry week ahead, like I mentioned, through the end of the work week, especially expect to be dry. We start to see a little bit of a pattern change as we get into the weekend, but warm afternoons and cool nights will be the story again. So not much humidity. It's just going to be warm. And then in the mornings, it'll be fairly comfortable and chilly in some spots. And then rain starts to return on Sunday. Now, we could start to see that getting in here Saturday night. It's looking like the timing at this point, at least, could be more of a overnight kind of time frame for a lot of the rain, but we will continue to monitor that, and we'll fine tune that forecast as we get a few days out from it. Here's your temperatures right now. We've warmed into the 80s across a good portion of the state. It's 84 degrees in Selma. We're at 86 in Andalusia. So as we had forecast, we're getting into the mid to upper 80s, or we're expecting we could touch 90 in the next couple of days, especially across the southern part of the state. Only upper 70s towards the north, 79 in Anniston, 75 in Coleman. Forecast lows for tonight, expect to be another cool one out there. I think we could certainly have a few places still hit upper 40s, but maybe just a tad warmer. 55 degrees in Anniston, 53 in Alexander City, and then closer to 60 degrees as you get further down towards the south. And then for tomorrow, again, we expect maybe to kind of bump that heat up a little bit more. So Andalusia could touch 90. Certainly possible other places in the southern part of the state could hit 90 degrees or get very close to it. 87 degrees in Tuscaloosa, 84 in Birmingham. So probably more uniformly 80s across the state for tomorrow. Futurecast, there's next couple of days that we're looking at here. There's not a lot to talk about other than just continued dry northerly flow, mostly cloudless conditions out there. Might have a few occasional streams of higher clouds coming into the state, blowing off from some of the nearby systems, but generally staying dry and a little bit breezy at times, but just lots of sunshine. And again, we're not going to see a lot in the way of moisture getting back into the state until later on in the week or into the weekend. You start to see a few clouds starting to kind of pop back up as we get into Wednesday afternoon. We start to turn the winds a little bit more to the northeast, maybe to the east. Looking at our futurecast a little bit further out as we get into Thursday into Friday, you start to see those wind lines there shifting a little bit more to the east. This high pressure to the north continues to shift towards the east. We'll have a cold front eventually approaching up from the northwest. That will be the rainmaker as we get into the weekend. But as that happens, you'll start to get a little bit more return flow starting to come in on the backside of this high as it moves to the east. And that's where we'll start to open the door a little bit for the moisture to creep back in. So by Friday morning even, we're not getting a lot yet, but you can start to see a few showers there off in the Gulf. So again, we'll start to see that door open to the Gulf as we get into Friday, the big question will just be how much of that do we get to return before the cold front gets here on Sunday, and how much rain are we going to get? We're going to see some thunderstorms most likely, but are we going to see some strong thunderstorms? Those are all the questions we'll kind of fine tune as we get later on the week. However, looking at our precipitation outlook, this starts basically Sunday and goes through next week. A lot of this has to do with this front that we're expecting to come through on Sunday, but precipitation outlook is definitely looking better. It's nice to see a lot of green there versus all the brown we've been seeing here recently. So again, we're expecting to get at least a decent amount of rain as we get through this later part of this coming weekend. But here's your 7-day forecast for North Alabama. So it's going to be a little bit of time before we get there, and it's lots of sunshine and warm weather until we get there, especially in the afternoons. Expect highs in the low 80s next couple of days, starting to get more into the mid 80s in North Alabama as we head towards Wednesday and Thursday. Lows still generally in the 50s, maybe low 60s eventually, especially as we start to return that moisture. And then again, it's Saturday night into Sunday morning and through the day on Sundays when we have our best chance of rain and some thunderstorms. Again, we'll fine tune that timing on everything as we get closer to the end of the week. For South Alabama, again, just lots of sunshine the next 4 or 5 days. We'll be getting in the mid to upper 80s for highs generally. Lows still in the 50s, but maybe low 60s, especially closer to the coast. And then again, rain chances on the increase as we head towards the weekend, and Sunday then still being the main day, we expect some rain and maybe lingering into Monday, especially into South Alabama. That is your statewide forecast for now. We appreciate you watching us here on the Alabama Weather Network.